G'day, Bruce here, Barking Dog Bim, and welcome to another edition of Scripting Adventure. In this episode, we continue with our series on creating our fully parametric custom GDL door. In the last episode, we scripted our door frame utilizing the WALLHOLE coordinates in the buffer using put, get, and use. In this episode, we start scripting our door leaf. If you haven't watched the last episode, I recommend you do so before watching this one because I just get straight into it. And if you haven't watched it, you might be a bit lost. Now, the door leaf is more complex than the door frame, so I will be splitting this across multiple episodes. And by good fortune, you get to witness me doing some on-the-fly problem solving when I stuff up my coordinates. This is useful because you'll encounter this in your own scripts. It's unavoidable. Let's create another subroutine down the bottom. It's a colon that makes it a subroutine, or a label rather, and a label and a return together makes that a subroutine. Let's sort out our attributes first. Building material will still be frame BMAT. Now, I don't, strictly speaking, need to re-declare that building material, but because it's in a separate subroutine, future development of the script may change that attribute somewhere else in an earlier called statement. So just to be sure, we'll leave it in there. No harm in declaring it again. And this will be leaf BMAT override. It'll be leaf mat. Pen will be the same. So I wasn't sure if I had set up a leaf pen, uncut pen, and I have. I used the search function up here, scrolled through, found it, so it'll be GS leaf pen. Now I realized that I have used the wrong parameters here for these commands. The pen command is your outline pen for projection views such as elevation, and the section attributes command is for your cut pen, so your cut contour pen for sections. I'm sure you understand the principle. I just wanted to point out that I have used the wrong parameters. I should be using a cut parameter for my section attributes and my uncut pen for my pen command. Anyway, back to the video. Copy down final statement, and it'll be GS leaf thick. That will be my geometry statement, but I need to input some coordinates. What do we got? For the leaf, I don't want to draw it from the center like I did for the frame. I want to draw it from the hinge side. And the reason for that is then you can control its opening angle in 3D a lot easier than if I'm drawing from the center of the leaf. So that means I want to draw from this origin here. This is going to be my XY origin. So I'll start here as my first point and run around like that. Let's add in the X. So this is the X positive going off to the right. A is to this line here, or A half rather. So I'll be adding A half minus my frame width. Add X, A divided by 2 minus here's frame width. And then I want to return my cursor to its origin after I've finished my geometry. So I'll add, and then I'll delete that transformation. Right, I've just put in some dimensions to help us keep our heads as to what's going on. Now A width is there to there. Now B height is from there to there. And let's put in these coordinates, remembering that our cursor is over on this line, our 3D cursor. So our first X will be 0, and then it'll be jam R. Jam R, it'll be 15 plus 64. Still 0 in the X, but now it'll be B minus jam R. 15 plus 64 because we don't want any of these segment lines showing. Now X is pointing off to the right, so we need to be minus GMR in the X, B minus frame width to get us to that point there. And this will be 10, 15 plus 64, so that'll give us a tangential arc. From there across to there, this is where having a leaf width comes in handy. Save us having to enter formulas multiple times. So I'll go to our master script. We'll just call it leaf width equals A minus GS frame width by 2. And if you remember your BODMAS, your order of mathematical operations, multiplication will be done first, so it doesn't need to be in brackets. That'll give us our leaf width. 3D scripts, we can then go minus leaf width plus jam radius. And we're still at this height, and this will be a straight segment, 15 plus 64. Now we go down to this point, which is leaf width minus leaf width, B minus jam radius, and this will be 10, 15 plus 64 because it's an arc. I'll just do these last two. And given that was my first point there, I need to do a point here and then finish it with my arc to that point there. All right, that should work. No unnecessary token. We've got a comma here. There we go. Let's have a look at our 3D view, see what mess I've made. Things are a little bit funky. Where have I gone wrong? Let's just put in an axis call. Right, so it is coming over to there. That's good. It's point 1, point 2, point 3. Bit concerned that they're not lining up. Point 2, point 3 is minus GMR, B minus GS frame width, 10, 15 plus 64. Good. Then we've got leaf width, minus leaf width plus GMR. No, it won't be that. So this actually needs to be plus GS frame width as well. Minus leaf width. Oops. Minus. This needs to be minus GS frame width. There we go. That's gone. This is minus GMR plus GS frame width. That should clean that one up. There we go. That one's gone too. So I just need to add in some corrections here. So I need to account for the frame width as well. You notice that as I'm getting it right, I'm no longer seeing a demarcation between my frame and my leaf. So I've just corrected my coordinates here. I had to account for the frame width as well, given the location of the axis and the leaf width. And it just looks like one big blank panel at the moment. If I go to the underside, you can see that my leaf is actually sitting nicely within the frame. But because the frame and the leaf are coincident, they occupy the same plane and they have the same surface, Archicad cleans them up. Very helpful, but not what we want. So one of the ways that you can deal with that is to just give each one a different surface. It's not great, but it'll work in this instance. So that's how you get two bodies to separate. Another way is to give them a slight separation geometrically, say 0.1 of a mil or 1 mil. Again, it's not ideal. You do want them to be like that so you don't get extra line work in your elevations. So see how these coinciding surfaces that use the same surface are cleaning up. That's not supposed to happen. Took me a little while to track down what the problem was, and I don't think this is the behavior it's meant to do, but this section attributes version 2 is what's causing the problem. I've set the section attributes, which is basically your cut pen when combined with a building material statement. I've set it up here to GS frame pen, and then when I set it again to GS leaf pen, which is a different pen, it causes all that to clean up. If I change my leaf pen to be the same as my frame pen, It separates the geometry. That is not the behavior I would expect. I reckon that's a bit of a glitch in that command. There are ways you can get around this, depending on what your door is going to do. If you've got coincident surfaces like that, the easiest way would be to make the section attributes pen the same between the two, or you separate your surfaces, something like that, or even just have different surfaces. That's a bit of a nuisance, but is what it is. To demonstrate what I mean in perhaps a slightly less cluttered object, I've just created a quick object here, dummy object, which is just a prism with a hole cut in it and then a plug in that hole. Looking from the top, it just looks like a normal prism. We look underneath, we can see that I've actually cut the hole, but this is cleaning up. And all I've got here are my two section attributes statements. If I comment this one out, my line appears. If I bring that one back in, it disappears. If I change my two pens, so I've got my prism pen and then my plug pen, if I change them to be the same, it comes back again. So clearly a glitch. But that's okay. I'll show you how Graphisoft deal with this in a future episode. Anyway, now that distraction's over, let's get on with cutting the hole in the middle here. So I'm just going to cut all the way around there, remembering that when you cut a hole, you need to put the first coordinate line down the bottom of your contour with a -1 as a status code. Then I can start cutting my hole. So I'll start it in the same place and work around in the same fashion. And this one's going to be minus frame width, minus leaf width. Now I don't have a leaf width at the moment. I'll just double check by typing it in here. Frame width, and that's it. That's the only width parameter I have. So I'll put in a leaf width here. Now I can use it. It's got me to there. So these coordinates can look quite complicated, but if you just work through them logically bit by bit, that's the way to approach it. It's very dry. We're very visual people, being architects and draftsmen. Working through these dry coordinates can take a bit of effort. And then I finish my hole with a repeat of the first coordinate line and a -1 to close it off. So that's my coordinates for my outline, and now the hole in the middle. Let's see if that works. I'll just check my script. Missing colon. Where am I? Oh, missing my comma there. And again there. 2 commas missing. Let's have a look. What sort of madness is going to happen? So, can get quite interesting. So I'll just work through this and find out where I went wrong. Right, this is where I've gone wrong. I've added a parameter, leaf width, after I've already added it into the master script, same name, and I've redefined its value here. So what we're seeing here is instead of something being this thick, it's actually the width of the leaf. So I will rename this one, because the parameter leaf width, let's call it leaf frame width, and the master script, because this is declared within my script, I should be declaring it with a camel case. Now, it makes no difference to GDL, but that is a good practice to make sure that things like this don't happen. So now I need to change all this. So if I click here on my leaf width, Alt click and change those to those, hit escape. And now, see, I've gone ahead and confused myself now by being a little bit slack with my naming. So leaf width plus leaf width. No wonder I've had trouble. Leaf. Even worse. So this is a really good example for you to be tight with your parameter and variable naming. Let's just get rid of this. So that outline's working. It's good. That means my error lies in here somewhere. So once again, I'll sort it out. Okay, sorry about that, but now we've got it sorted. Got my coordinates sorted out, got my hole cut nicely, and because I'm using prisms, these segment divisions line up frame to door leaf. One of the things I could have done is I could have used a tube for this door leaf frame. Might have been easier to script. But there's two things to note about that. With a tube, I have to plot every point on a curve. I can't just use status codes to form a curve for me nice and easily. I have to plot every point. I outline that on my 2 videos on tubes. I'll link them there and down there. And the other problem with that, now I can do that, of course. I can plot out my curve points, my segment points to align prism to tube. It's just figuring out your resolution, dividing it by 360, and that gives you your plot points. But the problem is with a segmentation like this, a resolution as coarse as this, my prism is smoothed because I've put in that 64 status code here to smooth out my segments. But if a tube falls below a 15-degree increment, you're going to get division lines on your segments. And so if I have a look at my GS Resolve, because that's my resolution here, GS Resolve resolution is 16. So if I go 360 divided by 16, my step angle will be 22.5, which is greater than 15, which means I will get lines on all of these segment points. It's for that reason that I don't use a tube. Save. Let's have a look at this in the Archicad environment. So that is, it's drawn, but it's cleaning up because the pens are different. So you'll have to deal with that with how you script it or the parameters you make available to your user. But that's something that you'll have to think about. I can easily deal with that by just offsetting it from the face by 1 millimeter, setting it back from the frame, 0.5 millimeter, 0.1 of a millimeter. So there are various ways to deal with this glitch in GDL. But there's my door leaf. Excellent. Don't worry, I do show you a better way to deal with the cleaning up of your door frame and your door leaf. In fact, the way Graphisoft does it. This will be in episode 43. We'll wrap this one up there. Now you know that when your geometry looks crazy, you just need to work the problem. Don't panic, don't get discouraged. Just work through your coordinates and your logic in a systematic fashion. You'll find it. You can do this. Next up, we'll continue scripting our door leaf, and I'll show you how to use the cut poly A command. I'll see you there.